the spine is the best way to prevent injury. When the spine is supple, the neck, shoulders, and hip joints all benefit. These stretches cover the full range of motion of your spine, and even a little of each can go a long way to rebalancing the muscles of the torso, which, after a long day of scanning, can become tight on one or both sides. Hi, Spike.
Hi there.
So we're going to get started with learning how to move the pelvis to help us with our spine stretches. So if you'd face forward, I'll face sideways so our friends at home have a good view of the hips. We're going to make sure our toes are pointing straight towards 12 o'clock. Maybe bring them a little bit narrower. Soft bend in the knees, and then we're going to put our hands around the sides of our hips here. I want you to see if you can get a real feel for the kind of bones of your pelvis. Great. Now we're going to work on posterior and anterior tilt. So this is forwards and backwards movement. So let's start with the posterior tilt, where we're going to lift the fingers up and drop the thumbs down. Nice. So tucking the bum under. Great. See if you can just let the head kind of be free, nice and tall. Good. And now we're going to stick the tail out behind. So the fingers are going to drop down and the tailbone's going to come up. Good. This can feel really unfamiliar at the beginning, so don't push too hard or strain, but let's just try to get this movement flowing. So you can move a little faster or a little slower than me. And just get a feel for moving the pelvis. This is our posterior tilt and our anterior tilt. And so when we get into our spine stretches in a moment, the pelvis is going to be doing exactly this motion. Great. Good, let's try one more. Tucking the bum under. Good. Let's pause here. Try dropping your chin down and just see if you feel a little stretch through your spine. Allow your whole spine to curve. Nice. Good. And now take your tail back and we'll lift the chin and let your sternum move forward. Good. And see, do you feel a little stretch through the front body? Perfect. All right. So come on up to standing, shake that off a little bit. And now let's take that to the table. So this would be great to do after a scan when you've got the couch right there. We're going to place our hands on the table and the feet just underneath your hips, toes pointed forward, just like you did before. And a nice soft bend in the knees. So I don't want your hamstrings to be screaming away in a big stretch here. We want them to be nice and relaxed. And then same thing with the shoulders. You're doing a beautiful job of just letting your head relax and the shoulders be free. Great. Now let's start with our posterior tilt. So we're going to tuck the bum under and feel the front of the hips come up. Beautiful. And then relax your head down. Good. And I want you to imagine a little candle coming right up underneath your belly button. Good. And let's take a moment here and take a nice deep breath. And do you feel a nice stretch along your back?
Yeah.
Great. Good. Okay, so now let's go into our posterior tilt. So we're going to take the tail up towards the ceiling, arching the back. Good. And I want you to see if you can let this part of your spine relax down towards the floor. Good job. Great. And you're doing a nice job of bringing your chin forward and trying to allow the whole spine to extend. Beautiful. All right, moving into your posterior tilt once more. Tucking the bum under, nice soft knees. Good, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Good, and here it's great to feel a little bit of work in your abdominal muscles. That's gonna help the back relax even more. Great, and now let's go into our extension. So we're going to bring the chest forward, stick the bum out to the back, lift the chest. Good job. And allow the back to really fully arch. And belly up. Good. And then we're going to bring the feet forward. Bending the knees and pressing down through the feet to roll up through the spine. And finishing with the head nice and tall. Good, shake that off. Well done. Now, if you have any issues with your wrists where being on your hands is uncomfortable, we can do the same stretch on our forearms. You might raise the couch up a little bit to make it easier and place the legs where it feels most natural to you. Just make sure all 10 toes are pointing straight ahead, and we can do our same extension and flexion movement here. Just be a little extra careful with the shoulders, making sure they stay away from the ears as you're moving the spine. Lovely. And let's come out the same way. We're going to find flexion, belly lifted, stepping forward, and then really pressing through the legs so that we use the power of the legs to stand up, finishing with the head lifted. Well done. Great. So let's move on to side bends. So for side bends, we're going to work with our feet still pointing straight ahead. And it's really important that our knees are soft and our tailbone is down. So we want to avoid practicing side bends in the arched back that we just worked on. So I'll face sideways so you can see from here. Tailbone is down, knees are soft, and we're going to think about a nice wide letter T from the collarbones in the spine. And so if you look straight ahead and tip over to one side. Beautiful. And do you feel a nice stretch down the side body?
Yeah.
Perfect. And relax your bottom arm. And then we'll go over to the other side. And if you were looking in a mirror, I'd like you to see the front of your throat staying nice and open as we go to the side. Excellent. Nice. So this arm that's dangling down, give it a little wiggle. See that it feels nice and free. And we'll come up through the center. So it's as simple as that. And doing these as a warm-up before a day of scanning is great. If we actually pick up the pace a little bit, it can condition and wake up and prime these muscles for work. So toes pointed forward, knees a little soft, tailbone nice and low. And then let's just start by tipping the top of the head over, finding that little side bend, and then rolling back up and going over to the other side. And imagining like your head got a little closer to the ceiling every time you come up through the middle. Great. Lovely, let's finish there. And now for a deeper stretch, maybe between our scans or at the end of the workday, we can sustain the stretch a little bit longer and employ some nice deep breaths. So in this case, let's go over to our left. We're gonna tip the head over. Good. Make sure the feet are nice and grounded. And if you feel like you need a little bit of support, you could bring the hand to the hip here. And if you wanted a little bit more stretch, we can take this arm up and reach for the ceiling. And now let's take a few nice deep breaths here. Remember that the stretches should always be comfortable, useful, not painful. Good. Take one more nice deep breath for me here. Good. Now press down through your feet and send your head up towards the ceiling to come out. Great work. Let's try that on the other side. So we'll go over to our right, letting the hand come to the hip if you feel like that's helpful for a bit of support. Taking the other arm up. Good. And then really just making sure that the head and neck are nice and relaxed. So if you're feeling discomfort in your head or neck, try just coming out of the curve a little bit and lengthening more towards the ceiling. So stretching should always feel good and useful, never painful. And press down through your feet and send your head towards the sky. Great. Cool. The third piece of our spine series is for rotation. This is best done seated on the couch or at your desk chair. Make sure that your feet are firmly planted on the floor. Sit tall and start by imagining the collarbones and the spine as that nice open letter T. Now, I want you to leave the spine nice and tall and spiral around to one side. You're going to bring your right hand to the left knee. And then I want you to use that hand for a little bit of leverage to help you rotate your chest around to the side. Now, with all the stretches, get into them and then assess how you feel. Is there tension in your neck? If the answer is yes, just release the head a little bit. It doesn't have to go as far as it possibly can. In fact, it's best to let the head just rest comfortably and see something nice and far away. Great work. Take a breath here. Good. Let's relax the left shoulder a little bit even. Beautiful. Good. And now as we come around to the other side, think about getting even taller in your spine as you switch. Good. So we're going to use this hand to help bring you around. Nice. And great work with the head. So we're just feeling nice and long through the spine. Good. And this hand at the back, easy shoulder. Well done. Good. And let's do some little switches. Nice. And remember to stand up. We're always going to use the legs to press down into the floor. so that the legs are doing the work of lifting the body instead of the back. Well done.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.